Hello and welcome to episode 136 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is March 28th, 2022. Today I'm not wearing a shawl, but I'm wearing a pair of wrist warmers. They are quite old and I don't remember what the yarn is, but I had this sort of fuzzy mohair-like yarn in black with white and also white with black. And I remember I think I knit one or two pairs of wrist warmers for my son back then, and then I knit those for myself. And then I always meant to knit either a jacket or a vest or a pullover with the rest of the yarn, but I never did. And I might have passed the yarn on to somebody else by now, I don't remember. But I thought they look quite nice with this vest. And the vest is the reason I'm not wearing a shawl, because this has such a big, nice, warm collar. I didn't really know what to wear with it. So I don't need anything warm on my neck when I'm wearing this vest. And I was thinking of wearing some sort of shrug or something just to cover my arms. But the one square shrug I was thinking of, even though it's gray, it's different kinds of gray, it didn't fit with the gray in this vest. So it's wrist warmers for today. And I can show you my new vest. This is the Mealy vest. I showed it last week as a finished object. I used opal sock yarn, held double with some brushed alpaca by Hansa Farm. So the sock yarn is the same throughout, but I used a light grey brushed alpaca for these parts. And for the edgings, I used a black brushed alpaca. And I'm really happy with how the vest looks with the black edgings and the light grey rest of the vest. It's there you can see the black ribbing, so it's not very long, but I think the length is quite nice, covers my lower back, so I'm warm there. I knit some buttonholes, but I haven't found any buttons yet, so I'm just using this needle to keep it a bit closed in front. And as I said, the wrist warmers work quite nicely with this, and I'm really happy, and it's nice and cuddly and soft and warm, and it's everything I wanted it to be. And if I ever do find buttons and sew them on, I will wear it again on the video, on the podcast for sure, to let you know. Yeah, that's what I'm wearing today. That was quick. I'll go on with my finished objects. I have 3 or 2.5 finished objects today, and the first one, nobody will be surprised, are the Sockmadness socks. These are the Sockmadness socks for the round 1. The pattern is called Ipomoea by Anna Zhiravleva, and it's a very beautiful pattern. It has some wrap stitches up here. There are some beads that like to hide. But I'm really happy with it, and I finished in time to get a spot for the second round. And the first round was supposed to go until this week Friday, but all the spots have been filled, and it means round 1 is already over, and the specifications, the specs for round 2 have already been announced. So we know that for round 2 we're going to need 3 different colors, so we can start preparing. And the pattern for round 2 could drop any moment. So we'll see. Next week I'll show you what at least the first socks looks like. Maybe depending on when the pattern drops, maybe I'll have a finished pair. We'll see. Yeah, but these are the round 1 socks, Ipomoea. I used a opal color out of the Africa series. That was the latest series to get out or to come or whatever. There's going to be another new series of colors by Opal, but I won't have them in my shop, so I won't be able to show you. Yeah, that's, I think, all there is to say about these socks. I have a friend who loves the color, and the socks fit her perfectly, so I know who will get these socks as soon as the Sockmadness is done. And yeah, the next finished object are the little pair of wrist warmers I showed you as a new project last week. This is Pure Baby Alpaca by Hansa Farm. It's called Alpaca, and it means you can actually machine wash this alpaca yarn in the washing machine if you put it on a wool cycle and use wool wash. So don't use normal washing powder, and make sure it's not hot and it's like a gentle washing cycle. Yeah, I just knit garter stitch, change color every 2 rows, and then I cast them off. I sewed the beginning and the end together. I left a little thumb hole, and I hope the recipient will be happy with them. She chose the colors, so I hope she'll like them. Yep, that's finished. And then I finished another pair of baby booties. So this is the same pattern that I knit up last week. I changed a few things the way I tend to do if I knit the same pattern again. So the first change was a different needle size, and that's not even a change from the pattern, because the pattern says if you want a different size, use a different needle and maybe even a different yarn. I used the same kind of yarn. So this is Opal 6-ply or DK weight sock yarn. And I used a 3mm needle for these and a 3.5mm needle for these. And you can see the size difference isn't really very noticeable. Maybe I should even knit another pair. Oh no, I think these are big enough. Well, anyway, about the change. So when you knit the sort of the cuff of the sock, you knit the whole cuff with this cable pattern. So there's patterning the whole cuff. Then you turn it around so you can do knit stitches again. And then when you fold it down, you can see the pattern. But with this one, I thought the inside of the cuff never shows. So when I started knitting, I just did the first half of the cuff in the cable pattern, and then I just knit the knits and the pearls. So it's like a sort of ribbing. If you look on this side, I think you can tell that there's cabling happening here, but no cabling happening in this lower part. And I think it's might even make for a little nicer fit, because this is more flexible there without the cabling. So I'm quite happy with that change. And then I did this bit as per pattern, and the most of the garter stitch rounds as well. But then I added 2 or 3 rounds, I think 2.5 rounds, and I put in a few decreases just at the beginning and end. So what happens is that this tip, which is quite nice, but this is rounded off here. So it's still a bit pointy up here, but there's no point down here. So this point is gone. And also on this one, I pushed it in. But if you look at it, it's quite pointy here and a bit pointy there. So I pushed that in a little bit. And that's mainly why I did the decreases. So this booty is less pointy. And I am planning to knit another pair in a different color again. And I was thinking I might do the same thing, probably keep these changes, but I thought I'll just put a different cable pattern. So this is the cable pattern out of the book, and I'll just put a different one in there and then see what that looks like. Yeah, so another pair, and this is just the half-finished project. Even though this pair of booties is finished, I decided to knit 3 pairs of booties, and then I will call the whole project finished. Yeah, so that's all the finished objects for today. And then we'll continue with the works in progress. And again, or as usual, I'll start with the socks. And I continued knitting on the 24-day socks. Had I knit the heel already last week? Can't remember. Or maybe I added the heel last week and continued knitting down the foot. It's quite funny now that, because I'm using mostly this ball of yarn, which was Abo yarn from the yarn subscription by Opal, the colors sort of don't mix as much as with the first sock. Didn't bring the first sock today, but doesn't matter. So there's the green yarn that interrupts the colors every fifth stripe. But otherwise there was lots and lots of blue up here, and there's lots of red down here. So I hope the color will change to probably the pink and the yellow. I'd really like to have a little yellow in the sock. So I hope the yellow will come before I'm finished knitting the foot. I have made sure that the beginning of round, where I change the colors, is on the different side of the sock than with the first sock. So when I wear them, I can have the beginning of round either showing both to the inside or both to the outside. Yeah, still love this pattern by Emma Potter, who gifted me this pattern very kindly. She wanted to see what it looks like with opal yarn. And I'm pretty sure this is not going to be the last time I knit the pattern. My sister has knit a pair, which she has already finished. So we'll show that at the end of the year when we do the video that we do together and show all the projects where we use the same pattern. So that should be interesting. Maybe if I knit another pair this year, then we'll have 3 pairs to show in that video. We'll see. Then the next pair are the cat socks for my nephew. I'm pretty sure I added a few rounds on this, but it probably looks almost the same as last week. So the only thing that I change is add a few rounds to the foot. I still plan to add a few more before I change to the black, and then I'll finish the sock in black so that I can stitch a little cat onto the foot. These markers are just to help me count the rows, so I put them in every 20 rounds so I don't have to count so much. That's another Africa color, like the Sockmadness socks. So this is it's a really nice series, I think. And then the next sock is the Knitting in the Dark project. I picked another 6-ply yarn by Opal. This is out of their Rainforest series, and I always like this color. And I just knit I think what you call a vanilla sock, so I could knit it in the dark. I did not put in a heel yet. I'll put in an afterthought heel, but I've added the toe. So I decided to do a contrasting color for the toe and the heel. And even though the dark gray would have looked nice as well, I decided to go for black. And yeah, so that's it. It's just this tube with a toe. For a while I was thinking about making it into some wrist warmers, because they would have fit like that as well. I could have even made it into the sleeve of a pullover, but I planned a sock, so this is a sock. I stopped in this white stripe, so that means that when I start the second sock, the pattern will be completely offset. The colors will be offset, which I like. I did cast on the stitches, never got round to knitting them yet. This is what I will do this week. So that's all the socks I have going at the moment. As soon as the pattern drops for the second round Sockmadness socks, that will change. But for now, that's what I'm doing. The next project out of sock yarn, little project with sock yarn, is my little gnome hat. Go Big or Go Gnome Hat is what the pattern is called, by Sarah Shearer. And she announced the Year of Gnomes this year. So a lot of people are knitting a lot of gnomes and gnome-related things. So yeah, I want to knit the Go Big or Go Gnome pullover. And this is sort of my gauge swatch and color swatch to check out the colors. I really like the colors. I've almost finished knitting the hats. And then as soon as the hats are done, as soon as the chart is done, it's just down to one color. And I think the decreases will start pretty soon after the gnomes are finished. So the hat should finish up fairly quickly. And then I can start the pullover. I'm really looking forward to that. The blue and the pink color are out of the Beauty series, so they're really, really soft. And then the light blue is just a unicolor, a single color. How do you say that in English? If it's just one color, it's just the one color. yarn, and that's nice too. And as I'm knitting fairly loosely, it's a really soft hat, and yeah, I'm looking forward to wearing that. Yeah, so that's that. Then we come to the clothes. There's one cardigan and one pullover I'm knitting. The Party Cardi by Stephanie Lotven, the rainbow cardigan, the black rainbow cardigan I'm knitting. I'm using the merino sock yarn by Hansa Farm in the black, and it's called Rainbow Cardi because I'm going to knit the neon minis by Wolldackel that I had in my Advent calendar 2020 into the collar in the front of the cardigan as soon as the whole thing is done. I finished knitting on the first sleeve, so I didn't cast it off. I put the stitches on some waste yarn because I may put some of the neon colors into the sleeves as well. So the sleeve is almost a full-length sleeve because I wanted to have long sleeves. The pattern calls for like 3/4 sleeves, but I wanted long ones. So there's just this little bit missing that I want to do in the neon colors. I started the second sleeve, not much yet, but at least some knitting is done. And I think so from here to here, this is all knit straight. So that'll be something that I can just do while I'm busy with other things and I don't have to look or think about it. And so I hope to get that done this week. And the pullover, that's the Raglano by Nicolò. It's a free pattern for a top-down raglan pullover. I changed the pattern in so far that I did a little v-neck, and I'm knitting a rip pattern. It's another opal 6-ply yarn. It's another rainforest color, and I almost finished it. So it looks fairly long now. It's quite a bit shorter when I put it on because with me inside the pullover, it gets stretched out a bit, and then of course the length shrinks a little bit. So it's almost long enough. I was just too tired last night to decide on the final length, and I didn't want to continue knitting on this anymore. I have put in quite a bit of knitting in the last week, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. Almost done. And yeah, the weather is quite warm at the moment. It might be too warm to wear it at the moment, but they say this week's going to get colder. So maybe I can wear it at the end of the week and show you as a finished. First, I'll show it as a finished object next week, and then we'll see what happens. Yeah, really happy about that. That brings me to my crochet projects and the little, I think doily is the word that I was looking for. The little thing I want to put on my stovetop, like a little cover. I crocheted 2 rounds, and that's all I did. I crocheted 7 of these middle thingies, and I crocheted 1 round on these 2. I will crochet the same round onto the other 5. Then I will switch to the next color. Oh, and the next color will be fun because I think I have 3 white beginnings and 4 dark blue ones. Now I have the second lightest color and the second darkest color, and then the next round will be the middle color. So that's quite fun because I'll get to knit the same round in the same color on all the 7 pieces. That's quite fun. So yeah, hope to do a little more this week. Then the blanket I'm crocheting, the pattern is called Stomp, and it's this interlocking crochet technique that I learned specifically to be able to crochet this blanket. And I added my 8 rows. I calculated that if I crochet 8 rows every week, I should get the main part of the blanket done by the summer holidays, which means the little boy who's supposed to get this for his start in school should get it as quickly as possible. But I think the blanket is going to be a little smaller than the other ones I crocheted, so maybe I should start doing 10 rows every week, and then I have a bit of time to put some border or edging or something onto it so that it has sort of the same size as the other blankets. So, as you can see, this leg is almost done. So last week the foot was all finished, and this is now the leg. You can see this is the bottom or the belly that's starting here. So it's just a little bit more, and then this leg will be completely done. You can see the toes. This is another bit of grass or plant or something like this that's starting here. This is the beginning of the stripes that are on the dinosaur's belly. And here you can see the second foot, and this could be the beginning of the first toe, not quite sure. And I think this is a line that sort of separates the foot from the leg. Really exciting, very funny. I think I managed to put in another mistake last week. I think somewhere around here. Again, it was a mistake that I would have had to undo several rows to go back. I didn't want to do that. Again, it was a mistake that I could sort of fix the next row over. I could just make sure I go into the right hole. So it's a bit off kilter, I think, in this area. But I don't think the kid is going to notice. I think the blanket will be fine. So I just left it in. This is the back. As I said, it looks quite similar, but not exactly the same, which I think is really exciting too. I'm really happy with my colors. It's quite funny that this corner ends up being really colorful. Lots of red and blue in this corner. Lots of green on this side. On this side, this is really green over here. But it keeps moving around, so that's fine. I don't mind. I'm still on my the first two balls of yarn. So this is the first colorful one and the first blue one. This is another rainforest color. Opal always dyes the rainforest colors onto 4-ply and onto 6-ply. So that's interesting, and I really like that. You can get the same color in thicker yarn. I always meant to do a project where I combine the same color with different thicknesses, and that's exactly what I'm going to do with the pullover that I just showed you, because I'm planning to do the collar or a cowl in the thin yarn but in the same color. So that should be really interesting. So maybe I could, the cousin of this boy who got the other dinosaur blanket, I knit him a little dragon to go with the blanket. I could do the same for this kid and actually use this color in the 4-ply. Oh no, I think the other dragon was knit out of 6-ply. I don't know. We'll see about this. It's just fun that all the rainforest colors come in 2 different thicknesses. And the good thing about this yarn also is whenever you buy a ball of yarn of the rainforest series, €1 gets donated to keep the rainforest alive. So the money helps to rescue somehow some part of the rainforest, which I think is a good idea. Yeah, that's the crochet projects. Then we're down to the knit-alongs, and I did knit on my Wolkig. Still not finished, but we are getting there. So I am down to the last 5 grams of yarn. So maybe this week, maybe next week. I hope it won't take longer than that. And then I can finally call my cowl, my Wolkig, finished. So if I pull it, it's really long now. So I wanted to be able to wear it as a short scarf like this, which I think is possible. I think it would stay, especially if I'm not wearing a big collar like this. It would stay around my neck. I could even put a little pin or needle in. But the other thing you can do is I can pull it width-wide like this. And then it's more than wide enough to put my head through, and it's still not too big to wear around my neck like this. And I can pull it up over my head. So there's lots of things I can do, and it's so soft. And it's so light. This whole thing is 45 grams because the other 5 grams just fell down to the floor. So it's amazing. It's, took a long time to get this done, but I still enjoy the knitting. I love the yarn, and now I'm really, really looking forward to finishing this. Wolkig by Martina Behm. It's a free pattern on knitty.com, or you can find it through Ravelry. No problem. You can find it on Martina Behm's homepage. I can very much recommend knitting the Wolkig, and you can participate in the knit along. You can show pictures in the Ravelry group if you want to. And the same goes for the pillows, the star pillows or star cushions that we are knitting at the moment. And I'm using this Las Vegas yarn by Rico, different grey colors with a silver sparkle, and I continue knitting on it. So now I have enough stitches that it's a lot more comfortable to knit on this circular needle. Not quite sure how far I was last week, but I think last week I had the 31 stitches that I also did for the little star that I used for the tutorial, which, by the way, I have translated. I think it's not uploaded yet because my husband's still working on the whatever he does to get the talking together with the video, with the pictures. So as soon as he's done that, we will publish it, and then you can have a look at the tutorial for this pillow or cushion. Yeah, so I continue knitting. I'm not quite at the 51 stitches yet. I'm somewhere in between 40 and 50 stitches. I really hope to finish this first middle part this week, and then maybe start the next middle part. And then as soon as they are done, I can start knitting the star points. That's when it gets really funny. Yeah, so that was a bit quicker than usual, but that's fine. That was everything I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.